I can see that you believe, and at last you will find the answers here. What you love, I can see, will change forever. And at last.
Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in again to In the Studio with Will J. Of course, my name is Will Jackson, and I'm here today with my guest to discuss a very hot and important topic, which is bullying. As you all may know, bullying has been in the news a lot lately, and it's a very serious issue here in our community. Unfortunately, bullying is often dismissed or overlooked, often described as, boys will be boys, or they're just playing around. But this is a very serious issue, and we're here today to discuss it. Research shows that bullying has been real detrimental to physical, the emotional, and social development of all parties involved. My guest today, Mr. Daniel Bradley from the nonprofit organization DreamsWorks Inc. here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I'm also joined with Ms. Ashley Jones-Credo and also Mr. Isaiah Womack, both students here at Wise High School in PG County. Just kind of want to get started with you, Dan, just a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about your organization and what you all do as it pertains to bullying.
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Daniel Bradley, co-founder, CEO of DreamsWorks Inc. Basically, we're an organization I like to describe us as a non-traditional arts organization. So, non-traditional in the sense that a lot of the arts organizations I grew up in, DC Youth Orchestra, other drama programs, they focus more so on developing talent. Whereas with us, we focus more so on using the arts or talent to develop socially conscious thinkers or leaders, like young leaders. Yeah. So we use the arts as a way to teach kids about different social issues. So then backtracking to the inception of the organization, 3 years ago in 2010, we started working on a project about bullying. At the time, we were working with a group of young people, mostly from Ballou High School in Washington, D.C., but some students from Prince George's County Public Schools as well, that were identified as being bullies. So in working with them on this project, the way our process goes, the first thing we do is kind of look at and try to help them or allow them to define for us what the issue is. And we started talking about bullying, ran into a lot of stuff you talked about, like people not really taking it seriously, looking at it like, oh, it's just joking, it's fun and games, all of that kind of stuff. And then the end result is them developing their own kind of theoretical base. So what's missing from the research and from the programs that are out here right now to help combat this project? Once we realize what the problem is. For them with bullying, it was that most of the programs or the approach of dealing with it was one-dimensional. It dealt with just the prescribed victim of bullying. Okay. And their outlook was there were two victims of bullying, that the bully and the bullied are both people who are victimized, kind of like if the familiar saying hurt people. Yeah. So that you can't really stop bullying just focusing on the kid that's getting bullied. You got to focus on the root. You got to focus on the bully, who in most cases was somebody who at some other point or in some other place is being or was being bullied. Yeah. So the end result was they developed a 40-minute anti-bullying film called Strange Dream, which they helped write, film, produce, and now to this day they still go around and facilitate workshops based on that movie. So, and that's just pretty much the project. So they go around, the name of our initiative is Don't Bully Bully, and bully is an acronym, B-U, Learn to Love Yourself.
Gotcha. And for those who aren't, just kind of backtrack a little bit, who aren't familiar with the term bullying, what is bullying? What are some forms of bullying?
Well, there are a few forms of bullying. The common three that everyone knows is verbal bullying. Then there's, of course, the most popular right now, cyberbullying. And of course, the one we're most familiar with is physical bullying. Yeah. There's also a fourth class that's being developed now that people are starting to look at now, which you'll hear it described in different ways, but basically it's like social bullying. And what that is when you don't allow people to participate in groups or crowds because of they're different. So it's not really like you talking about them or you physically hurting them or whatever, but it's more like exclusion. So you're excluding them from participating in stuff because of whatever issue, like something that they're different from.
I know it's like, because when I was younger, when we were younger, bullying was just somebody smacking you upside your head, taking your money every now and again, that kind of thing. But it's actually got bigger, and it seems like it's more in the news over the last few years. Like why? I mean, why do you think it's like really now being so publicized in the news and talked about?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think primarily the answer I give to that question is that many years ago when we were in school, when we were growing up, we didn't have the technology that's available right now. So our bullies they weren't as resourceful as these kids are now. So if you bullied somebody on whatever hallway and whatever school that you were in, whoever was in that hallway knew. And then people would find out once other people saw them and tried to retell the story. Now you can capture the video on your phone. You can put it on social cam. You can take a picture, put it on Instagram. You could tweet the dialogue of what happened, and instantly, I look at a lot of the cases in our program, they have 1,800 followers, 2,000 followers, and that's probably I'm sure y'all have double that. But they have all these people that instantaneously know what happened. The other reason that impacts the news is because the power then of a parent we had to rely on what media decided to pick up, what story they decided to pick up. But now everybody's a blogger. Everybody's or whatever. So these stories that are happening are becoming more and more reported in the news because the power of reporting news is in the control of the everyday person now. That wasn't the same dynamic 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Not saying I was in high school 15 years ago. I'm just saying 15 years ago that wasn't the dynamic. So.
Yeah, that's true. I want to take a quick break. Just kind of breathe a little bit. When we come back, I want to talk about the misconceptions of bullying that a lot of people have. Because as you see, I was kind of I hear about it, but like I said, when I was coming up through the ages, I ain't gonna say how old I am, but coming through, bullying was something different than what it is now. Because like you said, we didn't have the Twitters and the Facebooks and the camera phones. There wasn't no camera phones back then. So we had the green screen Nokia. So so it wasn't none of that. So I want to talk about the misconceptions, and also want to talk to you guys about. If you all have been bullied before or have actually witnessed someone being bullied in your school or your neighborhoods or whatever, because I know it's real, it's something that goes on. I'm sure you guys have probably came across an issue or two, if not with yourselves personally, but just, a friend or family member. So after the break, I want to come back and just get into that.
Spivey here with a few messages from this program's sponsors. It's that time of year again. Have you planned your summer vacation yet? Contact Heat Travel Agency in Bowie, Maryland for group discounts and quality service. Elite Styles Unisex Salon is a full-service hair care and hairstyling solution for the entire family. They offer an array of talented grooming professionals that offer the utmost in grooming services with many years of experience. Elite Styles Unisex Salon also offers services for natural hair care in a comfortable environment. They have a creative and experienced loctician on staff.
Welcome back to In the Studio with Will J. Like I said, I wanted to get into some misconceptions of bullying. As we hear the terms or the expressions, boys be boys, it's just teasing, walk away, deal with it, it'll stop, that kind of thing. The list just goes on and on and on. I want to know, my question to you all, anybody can chime in here, just what are some ways we can get people out of that mindset and to really start taking this, more serious than what people have been over the last couple of years or so? We can start with you, Ashley.
I think that people have to be more educated. I know for myself, when I was being bullied, I would go home every day and I would cry to my mom. And my mom, she didn't know exactly what to do about it or how to help me. But if she was more educated about bullying, then I think she would have been able to try to help me better to get through it and to become stronger and grow. So I think the main thing is just being educated about it and how to try to find a solution to solve it.
Yeah, that's true.
The way that I feel about bullying, in order for somebody to understand anything or be able to fathom it, you have to experience it. Bullying is an experience. It's not something that you can just give to someone as if it were a credit card or a piece of paper or a thank you letter. It's not something that just can be given to somebody. They have to experience it the same way that you have. So when you are bullied, it's nothing like it. You can't really give somebody the feeling of being put down or being told that you're ugly or you're not perfect, or just being some way that you are different than someone else can make them put you down. So it's not something that you can just give to someone.
I think that's an excellent point that he brought up, and honestly, it's the reason that we do the work that we do. Because you're right. Typically, you can't just give your emotions to people, right? Like, I can't make you feel hurt unless I like pick on you or whatever, right? But the cool thing is using art, you can, because that's what it is. It's a transference of emotions, either using video or images or whatever. Like, if you think about it, if you've watched a movie before, it can change your mood. It can make you happy. It can make you sad. It can engage you. It can whatever. And so that's kind of, I think, part of using the arts and using music and using movies and those images is the only way you really can kind of make it real for people. Like, I'll use real quick, like an example from our movie. There are two parts that the reactions never change depending on, it doesn't matter the age or, you know, whatever that happens. Like, groups of kids that we show it to, is one scene in the beginning of the movie where they start out just teasing them. They're like tossing the main character's violin around, and they kind of smush him or like kind of softly smack him. It's kind of hard into the locker, and that's what happens. Everybody laughs. They're like, you got smacked into the locker. But then the same kid at the end of the movie, he gets a gun and he's holding his gun up to his head, and he doesn't hear his voice. He's hearing the voices of the people who were talking to him, who were putting him down. And at that part, it's the same reaction. They're not laughing at that point. They're like, oh my God. And it's that reaction because it's my belief, just from what I've seen, most people that are bullying somebody, they don't really know the impact it's having. And so, and that's the key, is that because traditionally we can't give you that emotion. Like, we could tell you, you need to stop bullying Kenneth because it's hurting his feelings. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop bullying him, and then tomorrow you're gonna pick on him more, right?
Exactly.
But when you are able to really paint that picture for somebody of how emotionally you're really tearing somebody down, I think that's the way you kind of start changing people's outlooks and their actions and stuff.
Yeah, those are all great points. I mean, definitely educating people, and I mean, like you said, you can't transfer the actual, you know, emotions, but I think educating them and is probably the first way of doing something, you know, because like you said, people probably don't even know what they're doing is hurting this person inside, because you think, you know, I'm just playing around, you know, I'm messing with this person, ain't nothing major, but the whole time that person going home and, you know, crying to the parents or you know, writing in the journal or just having all kinds of bad thoughts, putting a gun to their head, whatever the case may be. So, but I want to go back to you, Ashley, because you said you were being bullied. I guess you said you were going home and crying to your mom. How? I mean, I want to know. I guess if you can explain to us, like, how were you feeling, like, as that went on? Like, what was the emotions?
I was devastated, and during that time I was very young. I was still in elementary school, and it was really difficult for me because I would get teased about my forehead or my gap, and people wanting to fight me every single day at school. So it was really difficult, and I didn't have friends many friends. I didn't actually have any friends at all as a child. So I didn't have anyone to talk to, and then I just had my sister and my mom. And it was really difficult for me to deal with, but as I got older, it got better, and I gained confidence. But even like up until middle school, I had people trying to sabotage me because I was doing well in school, and I had someone break into, like, you know, how they enter grades in the school max, and someone changed my grades and told me. And when I found out, I was really hurt. I was devastated because I couldn't believe that someone would try, you know, to do that to me, to hurt me like that. So it was sad for me.
I mean, and then you said I went on through middle school, and as you got older and your confidence built, you know, things changed basically. So, I mean, did your parents ever, you know, get involved as you got older?
As I got older, my mom, she always tried to make sure that I had tough skin. So as I got older, she, you know, it was easier to talk to her. But I had to identify myself. I had to find who I was and feel comfortable with myself. And once I started excelling academically, that was my escape, because I could go to my books and not have to worry about what other people thought about me, because I was doing well and I felt comfortable within myself.
Yeah, true. Now, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I just want to kind of talk about some of the signs, if there are any signs, or what parents can do to try to prevent, or when it comes to, their child reporting to them that, someone's bullying them or whatever. What are some steps that the parents should take, and also if there are any signs that, parents, guardians, teachers can look for to, try to prevent, anything dangerous from happening in the case. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
For birthday parties, picnics, church socials, family reunions, and much more, contact TNT Amusements, proudly serving Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They offer safe, clean, and reliable moon bounce rentals, professional, insured, and licensed services, and a wide variety of inflatable rentals for all occasions. Styles by Tiffany Pretty, where healthy hair is beautiful hair. Conveniently located in Temple Hills, Maryland. You can follow Tiffany to see more of her work on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Are you in the market for a new car? Contact K1 Auto Sales in Laurel, Maryland. From the moment you step on their lot until the time you drive away in your new car, your buying experience is K1 Auto Sales' #1 priority. They encourage you to use the experience and resources of their sales staff. They are there to help you find the right car at the right price.
Welcome back. I want to get into just some signs of some signs that parents or teachers should look for when to see or to find out if someone's being bullied or whatever. But I want to talk to Isaiah real quick, because during the break he was telling us about an issue he had in school about being bullied.
Around when I was in elementary school, I came up with a hair condition called alopecia. It was because it was hereditary. My grandmother had it, and it skipped my brothers and my mother and went to me. So when I got it, it was detrimental. My hair was almost down my back. And when it started falling out, it was insane. It came in large amounts, and it would go all over, and to the point where I barely really had much hair. So by the time I got into middle school, it was horrible. The amount of people that were there that were able to talk about me got even larger, and it just got worse. As I would go home, it's not really anybody you can talk to about something like that, because nobody can understand it, like I said. But as you go through it, your parents sometimes will try to make you embrace your shortfallings, maybe your flaws, I should say. So with that being said, it's not too good. But after a while, you do at some point somewhat get over it, and now it's fixed. Everything's fine. I have hair, and I'm happy. So.
Gotcha. So you kind of just embraced it, and now it's cool. You're good now.
It's fine.
Cool. So, thank you. So oftentimes people, turn to violence to, kind of get back at those people who harmed them. Sometimes hurting innocent people, sometimes hurting themselves, and in some serious cases, committing suicide. I guess I want to find out and try to help parents and teachers to learn what are some signs that people can look for or should be looking for, just to try to prevent bullying, or just to try to step in and help that person before they get to that point.
I think that teachers and administrators, parents, they can be mentors to students, because mentoring is very important, and having that person to go and talk to about whatever you're going through, it makes them feel comfortable, and it creates a bonding, a relationship, and they feel secure in that relationship. So when you have someone to talk to, you feel like it's an outlet. You're able to talk about how you're feeling, what you're going through, and being a mentor to that person, you're able to help them and give them advice on what to do and how to stay positive and not harm other people or harm themselves if they're going through bullying.
Gotcha. Dan?
But definitely, I agree with what she was saying. I think that's a great solution. I think another sign or big sign is a change in behavior.
Yeah.
So if you have a student or your child who's usually very like active and up and happy and whatever, and they start becoming withdrawn, like any kind of change in behavior, it means something. So it may not mean that they're being bullied, but it's definitely a red flag. And I think that we got to pay closer attention to red flags, like to what they mean. Piggybacking on what Ashley was saying, we talk about this thing called an emotional toolbox. And so when we say an emotional toolbox, we mean just like a regular toolbox has not just a box with tools in it, but a box that holds specific tools for a specific thing. Like if you want to put a nail in a wall, you don't get a screwdriver, you get a hammer. You get a screwdriver to put a screw in the wall, you know, so forth and so on. So emotionally, there are different people who are equipped to handle different emotional problems that you're going through. And so we try to teach young people and putting the power back in them. Like I think one thing that is a reoccurring theme of what both Ashley and Isaiah were saying was that at times you don't know who you can talk to and don't feel like you know really who you can go to, who's the safe person to say this to. Because bullying is one of those issues. If the person you tell doesn't handle it correctly, it can make it worse. It can make it 20 times worse. Right. So knowing, okay, this is going on, so the person in my life I could talk to about this specific issue happening on the way home is my mentor. Or this issue is going on, my teacher, I can't really talk to her about this or him about this, but I can talk to my assistant principal, you know, Mr. Blake. He'll hold me down if I go talk to him. I can, so forth and so on, trying to have kids really make like down to this mental list of who they can go to for each specific problem. That's one important thing to understand, even from a perspective of a parent. Because I know a lot of times as parents, you want your kids to talk to you, but you also, if they don't feel comfortable talking to you about something, you want them to have a list of people that you feel like are trusted, that they can go to and get good advice from. So those are kind of the two things I would say.
I believe that, like he said, a change of behavior is one of the biggest things. Like if you ever see anybody who's normally bubbly and talking to you or something, lack of communication is the biggest change in behavior. Some of my friends, if they are going through something, I'll notice it because they won't speak. Most people who are upset don't want to talk to you. They don't really want to deal with the thing that they're going through at the moment. They don't want to tell you about it. But sooner than later, if they have someone to talk to, it makes everything better. Like when I let one of my friends let out to me one day. Talking is the biggest let out in the world. Either that or physical. And like she said, if you have a mentor, it can also help. Mentors are always good for you to just talk to and have somebody that you feel trusted with, and mentors should be trusted.
And I agree with Isaiah. Isolation is a really big thing with bullying because as the person is being bullied, they tend to withdraw from the rest of society and they want to be by themselves because they're being bullied and picked on. They don't want to have to go through that, so they just stray away from everyone else. And they're quiet. They stay to themselves. So that's a big,
big red flag.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think another thing is like hygiene in the parents. Like it may not seem like it, but you have people that normally, you know, they're just, you know, regular, whatever, smell nice. A lot of times when you're depressed, you don't feel like taking a shower every day. You don't feel like combing your hair like you usually do, or you may not have a shirt on that's ironed, or like little stuff like that. That still, again, is out of the norm, because for the kids, it's not normally bubbly and upbeat. You can notice that kind of stuff. Like they're not dressing the way they used to. They're not taking any care about their appearance or whatever, stuff like that. That's another big red flag.
That's good. Now, I guess what are some things that parents can do when it comes to if my child comes to me and say, you know, that such is bothering me every day, or these people are threatening me on Facebook and things of that nature. I guess what are some of the steps that parents should probably take to when it comes to reporting something like that, or following up on something like that?
I think that the first line should always be the school. Like if it's happening at the school, But in that, see, this is the thing, is that I think that we're getting better as a community of schools. Like, schools are handling the situation better. But because there's no real, like, kind of unified approach, you know, from a system-wide approach a lot of times to bullying, as far as to the steps, I would say the big thing is making sure that the follow-through is done, and making sure how it's done. So making sure in a lot of cases, if you're talking to a person, like, you're coming up to the school to talk to me about your son is being bullied, and I'm one of those people who feel like, oh, it's just a rites of passage. Everybody gets teased in their teenage years. Then when you tell me, I'm like, okay, so really Ashley's bullying him? Okay, cool. So Ashley, are you bullying Isaiah? No. Well, she says she's not bullying him. It's not really, you know what I mean? So, like, don't stop there. Like, you got to be really diligent in making sure that there's some follow through, and not so much just that there's punishment, because I think that's another thing that, as the parent of the child that's being bullied, you almost a lot of times want revenge, you want punishment a lot of times, but that's not going to help, because unless they expel them, they're going to come back to the school even madder. So you want to make sure that there's something really going on, that there's a program. Most schools and most school systems have bullying initiatives or bullying programs inside the school. There are various organizations that they're bringing. I think, like both of them said, getting your kids involved in other activities, other programs, getting them mentors, because the biggest thing that I heard from both of them is that their confidence got built up. And building a person's self-confidence is the biggest thing you can do in trying to defeat bullying, is that self-confidence.
And the reason I wanted to ask that question, because somebody sent me an article actually earlier today about a girl in Illinois, and she was, you know, I guess some girls was picking on her, and they set her hair on fire. And the school waited, you know, a couple hours before even calling the parent to, you know, to report the incident that happened and things of that nature. And, you know, of course, when mom got to the school, she wanted to know why, you know, the school decided to take it in their own hands and just, you know, sit her in the office, that kind of thing, and not a real discipline, you know, type of thing. And that's why, you know, I hope our school, especially here in the D.C. area, you know, really step in. I know a lot of them do step in and you know, solve those issues, you know, the proper way. You know, whether it's calling the police or whatever, you know, because somebody hair on fire, that's, you know, that's not good, you know. So yeah, exactly. So I mean, and she was just minding her business, kind of walking away from the situation. And had it not been for some people who actually cared, you know, it probably would have been worse than just a few clumps of you know, hair coming out. So I definitely want, you know, people to really, you know, pay attention, and you know, I know sometimes, you know, how people are. We don't, if it's not us, we don't, you know, it ain't our business. We keep going. Just like if you see a bag, you know, you walk past it, that kind of thing. We want to treat this situation the same as we were treating, you know, bags in the metro or the airports. If it's, you know, if it's not yours and it's sitting by itself, you're supposed to report it. Same thing if someone's being bullied, hair on fire, whatever the case may be, report it. Even though it might not be your best friend in the world, but we still want people to step up and do those types of things so that, you know, we can resolve these issues quicker and in a safe manner, you know, before it gets to a point where people are, you know, thinking about taking their lives. I want to get y'all final thoughts on this real quick before we wrap. Just any words of encouragement, any you know, anything that you can provide to somebody that might be watching that's been bullied or is being bullied and is still dealing with the situation. Anything that you can kind of tell them. We can start with Isaiah.
For people who are being bullied, if you are being bullied, depending on your situation, whether it's cyberbullying, physical, emotional, maybe you're not being accepted into those groups that you may want to be in, just be yourself. If you are who you are, then people can't help but accept you. And if they don't, then it really doesn't matter, because you should accept yourself. Like, as far as that goes, you have to be confident in yourself. Confidence is the #1 thing in life. Like, if you don't have any confidence or self-esteem, then you have nothing. You have to build yourself up to be yourself. And that's how you really become a better person.
Good point. I like that.
Like Isaiah said, every situation is different. So you have to feel comfortable with who you are and know who you are as a person and love who you are, because no one can love you like you can. So when you have people bullying you or saying mean things about you, it might, in the beginning, it might be hard to just turn your back and ignore it, but eventually you have to get over it and just know that you are you, and you being you, that's unique, and that's all that matters.
like that?
I mean, for me, they both of them stole my answer. No, but seriously, I think that I agree with them. It's all about, I always say bullying is almost like identity theft. It's somebody really trying to steal your vision or your view of who you are. But for encouragement, I would just say that this too shall pass. If you look at, when I'm talking to elementary school students or even adults, I try to bring them back to the basic of, there's a Christmas carol that talks about bullying. There's Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. If you think about the words to the song, had a very shiny nose, there's a difference. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call them names. But then if you fast forward to the end of the story, on a foggy Christmas Eve, Rudolph was able to use that same thing that was different about him, that same thing that everybody laughed and joked and wouldn't let him play with him because of, that was the same thing that saved the day. So the kid that's tall and, oh, he's funny looking because he's so tall and in sixth grade, he ends up going, playing college basketball to being a basketball star later on. The girl with the funny looking hair ends up being the girl everybody wants to date later on. The smart girl or the smart guy ends up being the person later on that you sitting in front of trying to get a bank loan from. I mean, like life does not stay the same. If you keep going, it's going to change. And if you work hard, it's going to get better. And that's why, like, even with our organization, we have a saying that we try to say to all our young people, it's an affirmation, is we make dreams work. And that's because we always tell people dreaming is not something you do when you sleep. It's an active, full contact sport. And people are always going to try to stop you, but you got to make it happen. And so that's what I would say, just this too will pass, just keep moving, and it's going to get better.
Gotcha. You got something?
And find out what you love, because for me, it was school. Like I said, when I started to excel, I had confidence, and that was my escape, being me and my books and reading and learning. So for someone that likes music, music may be an escape. So you just have to find out what you love and what you like, and it'll help you.
Very good point. Very good point. Before I wrap up, Dan, give us your website so people can learn more about your organization and can reach out to you.
Great. It's at www.wemakedreamswork.org.
Gotcha. Thank you. Once again, I want to thank all my guests for joining me today. Very serious and important topic, and I'm glad we were able to sit down and have a discussion about it. And I hope that people watching can really, grab some information from it, and or if they need more, they can reach out and to myself or to Dan or any peer mediator, whoever, and just learn more about it and figure out what they can do, because this is something that I think we all need to meet right in the middle. We need to meet and we need to really work on preventing this in our communities, because we're losing too many kids. We're losing just people to this silliness. And before we wrap up, I want to kind of leave you guys with a statement that I read from Kate Core. It basically stated that bullying is killing our kids, being different is killing our kids, and the kids who are doing the bullying are dying inside. We have to save our kids, whether it's the kids being bullied or the bullies. They're all in pain. And to me, personally, that's one of the most impactful statements that you can read. So like I said, always just pay attention to everyone, even if it's not your best friend. If you see it, report it. If it's you, report it. Don't be afraid to report any kind of incidents. And just so that everybody can get help. Not just the ones being bullied, but the ones that's bullying. As always, thank you for tuning in to In the Studio with Will J. Please follow me on Twitter at Will J Speaks. And always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email me at will@willspeaks.com. Thank you. Peace.
You will find